Just a little bit about myself. Born and raised in Winnipeg. I've lived here my whole life, 38 years old now. I went to high school at River East Collegiate in North Kildonan. Went straight out of high school, and when I was in high school, I had a whole bunch of different things that I sort of wanted to do when I got older. Actually, even predating high school, I had a myriad of things. At one point, I wanted to be a weatherman, a meteorologist, and I still have a real interest in weather. And that was something that I looked at. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a pro wrestler, believe it or not. Of course, like a lot of young kids, I wanted to be a professional hockey player. I always had a big interest in sports, and as I got into high school, I wasn't involved actually in the high school newspaper. That wasn't, even though we had a school paper, it wasn't something at the time that necessarily appealed to me. I was in the drama club, and I actually started doing a lot of announcing at our intramural or our high school sports team games. I do the PA announcing, that sort of thing. And I started to get interested in this whole idea, maybe I could get into sports broadcasting, be on the radio, talking sports, that sort of thing, maybe doing play-by-play for the Jets or something like that. And so I started to look around, and I remember early in my grade 12 year, I think we were all having meetings with our guidance counselor, just to kind of get an idea of maybe where we were headed post-secondary for those that chose to go there. And he told me about this great program that Red River College offered called Creative Communications. And it's a multifaceted program. He said, if you have an interest in radio and sports casting, this is a really good program, but there's all these other components to it. There's television, there's public relations, there's advertising, there's journalism. You sort of get it all. And they have a great history of graduating students and getting them jobs in their field, really good partnerships with different employers in the city. So it sounded pretty neat. And I applied for it, and I actually kind of thought, well, I guess it's easy. You just say you want to go take this program, and you're in. And it wasn't quite that simple. As I quickly found out, that year, there was some 300 of us who actually applied to get in, and they only took, I think, about 50. I was one of the lucky ones, though. I got accepted, and looking back now, of the 50 of us that were in CreComm, as it was known, Creative Communications, there was only 2 of us, myself and one other student, who actually got in directly out of high school. So there was only 2 of us who were 18. They had a lot of people who actually had already graduated from university and were now looking at maybe a career change, really varied degree of students. And it was a 2-year program, and it was absolutely fantastic. I still go back to Red River every year and talk to upcoming students through that program, and I can't say enough good things about it. It certainly is a huge part of why I'm here today and what got me on this career path. As I say, I started with sort of this interest of maybe sportscasting, that sort of thing. But of course, through our first year of CreComm, we would do a little bit of everything. We did advertising, PR, but the journalism aspect really intrigued me. It wasn't something I had done really before, but as part of our classroom assignments, we'd go down to the law courts, we'd go to City Hall, we'd go to the legislature, and we'd take in a news conference or a speaker session, that sort of thing, or a court case. And then as part of our assignment, we'd have to quickly turn around and write about it. And we were being sort of taught the standard form of writing a newspaper story. And as part of our studies, we were being encouraged to read as many papers and magazine articles as we could. And this is something that really started to interest me. And after my first year of Red River, we had to pick a major, and you could choose journalism, PR, or advertising. And I'd say of the 50 of us, it was probably split a third. And I chose journalism. I actually got a job that summer. My very first journalism job was out in Gimli at the Interlake Spectator, a weekly community newspaper. And that was a fantastic 10-week experience, sort of a crash course in covering everything from local politics to local crime to doing feature stories about talking parrots and I mean, you name it. And not only back then, technology wasn't what it is now. We would actually not only write for the paper, but then we'd lay it out, physically lay it out, like cut and paste. And so we hands-on approach to putting out a newspaper. And that was just an unreal summer. Really put the bug in me that this was something I wanted to do. And then in my second year of Red River, majoring in journalism now, they have job placements, and that's a huge part of why the Creative Communications program is so fantastic, is the connections they have in the community with job placements and the success rate of people who get employment out of that. And that's exactly what happened to me. I did a job placement at the Winnipeg Sun. Just so happened that they were hiring, and they liked what I did during my few weeks at the Sun. Not only did they hire me, but they also were in the need for a police reporter. Their crime guy was leaving the paper, and so they threw 20-year-old me, who really knew nothing about crime in this city, had grown up, as I say, in North Kildonan, not necessarily exposed to the gritty side of Winnipeg, and all of a sudden I was on the police beat. And it was a real learning experience, a quick learning experience for me. I sort of got a crash course in it. Not only would I work my regular Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 or whatever shift, but myself and a freelance photographer at the Sun who was trying to get on full time, we would hang out together most evenings and weekends. He lived in the North End, so he was a little closer to where some of the action was. We'd have our little police scanners with us, and we would listen to calls coming in for various crimes that were happening in the city, robberies and assaults and you name it, and yes, murders. And we would often get to the scene of the crime before even the police or the paramedics would. If we just happened to be a block or two away, be in our cars, comes across the scanner, and that was quite the eye-opening experience. We did that for a couple of years and saw a lot of crazy things. We'd be Johnny on the spot, him getting his pictures, me getting my interviews with witnesses or whatnot. And that quickly introduced me to this part of the city, the crime world, if you would. I also got to meet a lot of police officers and paramedics and firefighters and that sort of thing. And that would prove valuable down the road. So I joined the Sun in '95. In 1997, I got an offer from the Winnipeg Free Press, the bigger paper in town, to come over and basically do the same thing for them, be their crime reporter. So I jumped at that chance, and I've been at the Free Press now ever since 1997, going on, I guess, my 16th year. I stayed on the police beat for a couple more years. Then in 1999, there was an opening to actually go down and start covering the law courts, the courthouse. And that was something that really interested me as well, because I had now for almost 4 years been covering crime sort of as it happened. A terrible crime occurs, and unfortunately part of that job requires sometimes trying to chase down family members of the victim, and it's not an easy thing or a pleasant thing to do. The idea of going down to court sort of appealed to me because while it was still covering the crime beat, there was some passage of time in between when, say, the crime happened and when I would now cover it down at the courts. Maybe a year or 2 or 3 had passed, and kind of everything was under one roof. You'd get the Crown, you'd get the defense, you'd get the victim, you'd get the criminal, you'd get the judge, and it would sort of all be in this controlled environment. So I went down to the law courts in '99, and I've been there ever since, 14 years now on that beat. I've never worked a day out of the actual Winnipeg Free Press building on Mountain Avenue. Never worked a single day of my career there. When I was on the police beat, I would work out of City Hall. And now, since 1999, I have a little office right inside the courthouse. That's where the action is, and that's where I work out of. My days generally, Monday to Friday, that's when court sits. Typical day, check the docket. There's a stack of papers much, much bigger than this with hundreds and hundreds of names every single day listing every Winnipegger who is making a court appearance that day. You see their name, you see the charge, you see the courtroom that they're in. And at any given time, there might be 20 to 25 courtrooms where there's something going on. And that obviously proves to be a bit of a challenge. There's not 20 to 25 of me to go sit in every courtroom. So you really have to prioritize, pick your spots. A lot of that is, we know the big stories that we're going to cover. Obviously, the more high profile or the more serious the offense, we will cover it. Murder, for instance. We're going to cover every murder trial and sentencing. And as the charges get a little less serious, the chances that we're actually covering it get reduced. But a lot of it is just knowing the lawyers in the courtroom, in the courthouse, and being down there so long now. I know all the judges, I know the defense lawyers, I know the crowns. They help you out a lot, give you a heads up on something that might be happening that's newsworthy in this courtroom, or tell you that you missed something in that courtroom so you can go back and listen to the audio recording of it. Everything in court is taped all digitally, so that allows you to kind of be in multiple places at once, because if you miss something, you can go back and listen to it and catch up to it. But it's a fascinating thing, and it's a job. Looking back when I was debating what I wanted to do with my life, one thing I knew for sure is that I wanted a career where every day I'd wake up and it would never just be the same old, with the exact same routine, doing the exact same sort of tedious things that would get boring very quick. I wanted a challenge. I wanted something that constantly challenged me, that offered me something different and unique every day, and that's covering the courts in a nutshell. Yes, I know every day that I'm going to be writing a few stories for the paper, but by and large, I have no idea what they're going to be about. I have no idea who I'm going to meet today, what stories I'm going to hear, what cases I'm going to cover. And, every day is an adventure. You really get this front row seat to obviously some of the worst that our society has to offer. You're hearing about, the terrible things that go on in this community. On the flip side, though, you also get to see the good in the community. You meet some fascinating people, and some of the most rewarding part of my job over the years has been meeting victims of crime, survivors of crime, family members, that sort of thing, and getting to know them on a personal basis. And as depressing as it can be, constantly sitting in courtrooms hearing about the terrible things people have done to each other, it can also be very rewarding as well to sort of see the good that emerges from the bad. So that's sort of a typical day, wandering through the courthouse, poking your head in and out of different cases. Obviously, a few skills are necessary. You need to have good people skills. If you're sort of antisocial and don't like talking to people, and this probably isn't the best job for you, because you're going to come in contact with people every day. You also need to be able to think very quickly on your feet, in terms of asking questions, digging, deep. You have to be very resourceful, and a lot of that just comes with experience. The more you do something, obviously, the more resourceful you get. Time management is another huge skill, because it can be very busy and it can get stressful. You're on a deadline every day. There's that rush of having to write your story very quickly. You don't have unlimited amount of time to do your work. You have to get it done pretty quickly. And, I think for me, journalism and my job description has dramatically changed over the years, just in the last few years, because of technology. When I first started, all I had to worry about is covering a story and writing it up for tomorrow's newspaper. That's it. As most of you, or all of you, I'm sure know now, the idea of just putting a story out in tomorrow's paper is sort of an antiquated thought, because with technology, with Twitter and Facebook and every media outlet having a website, the rush for immediacy is huge now. So where I used to sit in a court case and just take my notes and write my story up at the end of the day for tomorrow's paper, now I'm tweeting it live if it's high profile enough. I'm I'm giving play-by-play in court of what the judge is saying, what the lawyers are saying, what the jury is deciding. So, you know, I've got just over 5,000 Twitter followers now. So there's potentially 5,000 plus people, and however many people they might pass things that I post onto, who are kind of following you as it happens. So there's essentially live court coverage now. Then when you're done tweeting a case, you have to rush back to your office and write something up immediate for the website. You can't wait to write it up for tomorrow's paper. You got to put something on there now. People need to know now. And you may actually write several different versions of it throughout the day. You might constantly be updating it if it's high profile enough. And then after all that, you have to sit down and write the story for the paper. And that's a real challenge as a writer. Geez, how do I now make this feel fresh or make it a little different? Everybody already knows about this. All I've been doing all day is talking about this case. And so it forces you as a writer to be more creative, to find other ways to tell a story. There's also video components now. We often we'll do a video hit for our website as well. So, you know, we're not just newspaper reporters, we're broadcasters. So it's really added all these other layers to the job, and it's actually very exciting. You know, again, going back to the never wanting to do something that just felt same old, same old. My very career is a constantly evolving thing, and you know, who knows where it goes next. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom by some about the state of the newspaper industry, specifically as it pertains to journalism, not so much TV and radio, but newspapers, because especially in the US, there have been some major papers that have either reduced the amount of publishing days or closed up shop. Here in Canada, you've seen workforces trimmed. You know, people are doing more with less because there's a crunch, because less and less people are actually buying the physical hard product of a newspaper. More and more people are consuming their news online. And that's where I don't get down in the dumps thinking, wow, what a dying industry. I actually think it's an evolving industry. And the reality is, if I write a story today, more people than ever are reading my story than ever before. Less people might be reading it in the physical free press edition that lands on their doorstep tomorrow morning, but between the website and, like I said, social media, more and more people than ever are seeing your story, are sharing your stories, are commenting on them, and especially as it pertains to crime. I mean, we track these things on the Free Press website, and you can see what the most read stories, most shared, most commented, and they're almost always crime and justice stories, almost always ones that I've written, and it has nothing to do with me, but it shows people have a huge interest in crime and justice and public safety. And you look even at some of the most popular TV shows, crime and justice shows always tend to be at the top of that list. So it's an industry that I think has forced a lot of us to really change the way we look at how we do our job, but that's an exciting thing. And as somebody who loves social media and that, it's been a fun ride, and anxious to kind of see where it takes me next. Just a couple other quick things, then I'll open it up for questions. I actually do, in addition to the Free Press, I've hosted a radio show, sort of that original dream I had of being a sports broadcaster. I don't talk about sports very much. I'm a crime broadcaster. I've hosted for the last 8 years here on CJOB 680 in Winnipeg. But 6 years ago, my show actually got picked up nationally. And every Sunday night, 7 to 9 p.m., I host this show. And it's kind of cool that people across the country, from Vancouver to Montreal and kind of all the major cities in between, are tuning in. I host it, I produce it, I book all my guests. We talk all kinds of hot button crime and justice stories. I have victims on, I have police officers, judges, lawyers, even criminals sometimes, believe it or not, call in. One of my most frequent and popular callers over the last couple months has been Sean Lamb, who some of you may recognize the name. He's currently sitting at the Winnipeg Remand Center accused of being a serial killer, charged with murdering 3 women. For whatever reason, he has taken a liking to my radio show and to calling it every single Sunday night. We've only put him on the air once, and it was by accident before we knew who he was. but I regularly engage him in lengthy chats during commercial breaks, and that's carried over. He calls me every few days at the Free Press as well to chat. So again, another interesting part of the job when a serial killer has you on speed dial, basically, and wants to just talk your ear off. And so the radio show is pretty cool. I've also actually expanded on my writing, having covered a lot of very high-profile cases in this community. I've actually written 5 true crime books over the years, become an author. Not something I ever thought I could do. I never thought I had the patience to sort of sit down and write a book from start to finish, but having covered cases that to me cried out for something more than just the standard daily reporting, I got the bug to sort of put everything I knew about, in this case, the very first case that I decided to write a book on, which was the murder of a Manitoba RCMP officer out near Russell, Manitoba, over a decade ago. Having covered the trial, it was sort of dawning on me that, geez, there's stuff every single day that I can't fit into the newspaper. You only have a certain amount of space to tell your story in the paper. And by the end of a 2-month trial, my notebook was just overflowing with stuff that I wanted to tell, but really didn't have a place to do it. And got the idea of, hey, maybe I could write a book on this case, and got the blessing of the victim's family, got a deal with a local publisher, and the rest is sort of history. I've now, between 2003 and last year, written 5. My most recent book that came out last year was on the Candace Dirksen case here in Winnipeg, again, working very closely with the family. Candace was a 13-year-old girl who vanished in 1984 while walking home from school. Her body was found a couple months later, frozen in a shed, and for over 20 years, her murder remained unsolved, and then advancements in DNA evidence and forensic sciences ultimately led police to a suspect based on evidence they'd collected in the mid-'80s that at the time they couldn't do anything with, led them to a suspect, and then there was an arrest and a trial, and I ultimately wrote about the whole case sort of from start to finish. So that's something I really enjoy doing. I'm definitely going to do more of, not working on anything presently, not working on book number 6 just yet, but hopefully in the next couple of years that will come to fruition. So yeah, it's a very rewarding career. Like I said, I keep myself very busy between the newspaper job, the radio show, and then when I'm writing books, and have a great family as well, 2 young kids. My wife, very supportive. I have a brother who's a police officer here in Winnipeg, works in the North End, so he gets to see kind of the other side of things. I see them when they get to court. He gets to see things right on the front lines. And Winnipeg's a very interesting place to cover the crime beat. I lose track from year to year what our titles are, but so I can't remember if we're presently the murder capital of Canada, or maybe we're second, but we've had a few really ugly years recently that for a crime journalist has certainly kept me very busy.